People, I don't bring una another hot ogbonge matter wey just dey trend now. Former spokesperson to Nigeria Air Force don expose the reason why Tinubu ordered for 100 general retirement. My people, no be small thing o, my people. Make una lis ten to this video, make una watch this video, make una hear wetin this man talk, my people. As una dey watch this video, make una no forget, make una hit the like button, make una share this video so that make this video go viral, make people see wetin dey happen for our country called Nigeria, my people. Make I leave una more watch this video.
Air Force and Nigerian Navy were directed to submit their retirement applications to their respective service headquarters before the deadline. The memo dated June 26, 2023 was signed by Major General Y. Yahaya on behalf of the new Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa. To have a conversation around this directive by the President is former Nigerian Air Force spokesman, Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, retired. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'm wondering, why this necessity to retire 100 military generals? What impact is it likely to have on our security architecture when we retire our trained military generals early due to political reasons?
Well, thank you very much. Please permit me to make a little correction in the background story that you gave when you said Army generals. The retirement is going to cover Army, Air Force, and Navy. So you have generals in the Army, generals in the Navy, and generals in the Air Force. Now, having said that premise, permit me to say, when you say what effect will it have on security, well, I think that is not the important thing, because look, we have enough generals. If these people go, they can be replaced. However, what is important to note is that it is not normal for a military or anywhere in the world to in one go retire. You're talking about 100. By my own estimate, I have about 133 major generals in the Army, rear admirals in the Navy, and the air vice marshals in the Air Force. I have a number of close to 133 that are living. And we have to remember, this is not the first time. When the last set of service chiefs were retired, I think in 2022, when they were appointed, we had another batch of about 100 that left. Now, the issue here is, when you look at the money that is spent on training these people, whether it is foreign courses, courses here, the experience we are losing and the money we are wasting on these people and then telling them to go, it is not good for national economy. On the individual level, the problem we have with this, but I must put the premise that, look, a president and commander-in-chief, according to the constitutional requirement, I think section 217, he has the right to appoint service chiefs. And the constitution does not tie his hands that in appointing service chief, he must pick either the most senior or the middle senior or the most junior. It is completely within his right to do that. But President Bola Tinubu can admit a number of about 350 major generals across the services. So to be honest with you, his work was not even easy in picking his service chief. I think here is a problem that started long ago. We should not be having 350 major generals for the president to pick. The services themselves, either the services themselves or with the superintendents of the Ministry of Defense, should have pruned that number. And the pruning of number, since we joined the military, since NDA, they will tell you military is a pyramid. Military is a pyramid. We come, I'm a member of 35 regular course. We come about 100 or 200, I cannot remember. There will be, some people will fall out even from the NDE, will become second lieutenant, then lieutenants, then captains. Now, to maintain that pyramid, the lower bottom of the military should be higher than the next higher level. What do I mean? Whether it is non-commissioned officers, you expect to have more privates than lance corporals, more lance corporals than corporals. It's the same thing with the officers' corps. You are supposed to have a large base of second lieutenants who come out of NDA in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Army. As they progress into their second rank, that is full lieutenant, there it is almost automatic. Unless somebody dies, also very serious case, almost all the second lieutenants will make, will make lieutenant rank. But from lieutenant rank, when you are moving to captain, that is where the process of filtering starts come. Probably you'll be looking like 80% of the lieutenants will make captain. From captain to major, you should make it such a way that from there you have like 70%. Towards the end, at the top end where everyone wants to call general, the ideal is that only 2, maximum 3% or 5% at the most will make generals. Now, what do we have in Nigeria? According to the research I made, there are some courses that since they went out of NDA, about 44% of them became major generals. This is not, a good way of this. So I think the failure is having a well-coordinated modern military personnel management system. For every rank, you are going to be stricter, 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 stricter. At the end of it, if you take any course from NDA, they should be able to produce not more than 5% of them should become major generals. But like I told you, we have courses where 30%, where even 44% became major generals. Then you are going to have a problem. Now, if you follow that structure of military pyramid, whoever is the president and commander-in-chief, you have already, given him a few number of top quality officers where he can make his choice. Like I said, a situation where a president comes and he has 350 major generals to pick, you have not helped him. So I think the problem is not made by the president himself, because again, like I said, the president, in fact, if you look at the literal meaning of section 217 on the appointment of service chiefs, as it is now, the president can even pick a colonel and say, this is my service chief, because his hand is not tied. He picks whoever he wants. But the military as an institution, with the strict supervision of the Ministry of Defense, should be able to follow this filtering process so that only the best become general. Of course, everybody who enters the military wants to become a general, but when you follow global best practices, you have to filter. Now that filter has not been working. That is the honest truth. For those of us that study these things, I think as far back as 2012, we noticed this tendency of promoting too many generals. Well, I know times are not like when I joined the military, but I remember in 1984 when I joined the military in Kaduna, you can hardly see, even as a military officer, you can hardly see a brigadier around. Hardly you can see a brigadier. But what do we have now? We have too many generals. And we have to listen to our elders. General Ishola Williams, as late back as 2020, he gave this warning that we are having too many generals and too few troops. So in the long run, it's the country that loses. Also the officers that we are told to go, because again, we have another complication of what you call the harmonized terms and condition of service. What the harmonized terms and condition of service says is that it guarantees every officer a period of service for 35 years or 60 years of age. If you look at the officers that are left, they're all my juniors. I think the highest will be in their middle 50s. So the issue is that when you continue doing this, people will leave not really unprepared, but what the military promised them, they are not going to attain it. So it's a lose-lose situation for everybody. You lose a vibrant young man, they go home unprepared, and then you have a bloated military structure. What does a bloated military structure does? It costs a lot of money. Let's be honest with ourselves. There is no money you can pay a soldier for risking his life. Whatever you give a general after serving 30 years, he is worth it, because they go to the bush and stay awake while other people are sleeping. However, in order to be fair to the taxpayer, you should be able to produce only generals that are necessary to carry out the job. You don't just give general rank just because you want to favor somebody. Another issue I want the government to look at: what is this desperation about people being major general? It started recently. If you look at the salary structure of the services, as is usual, a lieutenant will earn higher than a second lieutenant, captain will higher than a lieutenant, and so on and so forth. But the gap is proportionate between this rank until you reach brigadier and major general and equivalent. There, the gap is almost about 3 times. So what does that? There's nobody who doesn't like money. There's nobody who doesn't like allowances. So what we have now is pressure being mounted on the services. A service knows that it needs only 50 major generals, but pressure from senators, pressure from traditional rulers, pressure from the chief's wife, pressure from everywhere. The chief, knowing that I need only 50 major generals, will end up promoting 100 major generals. In the long run, who loses? It's national interest that is affected, because apart from losing money, when you have too many generals, now we have generals, with due respect, that are doing actual work of colonels. That is what we have. And it's because you have so, in fact, there are some that if they don't go to work for 1 week, nobody will even look for them, because they don't even have any specific work to do. But they are there to collect their salary and collect their allowances. So the government, what government needs to do, in essence, is to, inculcate proper modern military personnel management processes. Like I said, maintaining the pyramid. In fact, you have to go back up to NDA. How many cadets do you need to produce to arrive at the number of generals that you want? Then at every stage, you look at the attrition rate, and then you come and maintain that this thing. And I would like what is happening again, which I have to point out, the filtering process after the services have submitted their list for promotion. There is the Army Council, there is the Air Force Council, there is the Navy Board, with the Minister of Defense as chairman. Now, if there is support, if there's any overbloating of promotion, it is expected that the Army Council, the Air Force Council, or the Navy Board, the minister saying will say, look, I represent the federal government. The economy cannot allow this kind of number of major generals. But the truth is that filtering process is not working. Almost whatever the services carry to their councils or to their boards, that's exactly what comes out. So we have to go back on that line, which is better for everybody. And again, when you have so many generals, even carrying out commands becomes difficult, because you have like 5 generals between the service chief and the field commander. What you are just increasing layers and layers of bureaucracy. So you are making even the military, less. And then finally, again, the money aspect. We have to review that salary structure, which makes a major general to be collecting in terms of allowances about 3 times brigadier. I have to be very honest with you. I retired as a colonel, so maybe I'm not involved, but I can tell you the most disgruntled person now is an officer who retires as a brigadier, because what he is seeing at the next level is something that will go, with a very bad mind out of the military. We should look at distance. Our military should be more professional, and I hope the incoming president will hammer again. This brings the issue of an empowered Minister of Defense. Is the Minister of Defense, if he is empowered, what I mean by empowered is that, unlike the other practice where the president will appoint a Minister of Defense and then all the time he is the one interacting with the service chiefs, if you do that, you are undermining it doesn't take long for the service chiefs to realize that, look, this man is not in charge, so we can do whatever we want. Select a top quality Minister of Defense. Allow him to hold these people responsible. Allow him to hold these promotions. I think the Ministry of Defense must be involved actively in the issue of promotion, especially at the higher rank. Every officer enters the NDA or joins the military with the intention of becoming a general. But we know, just like in the civil service, not everybody will become permanent secretary. It's not everybody that will become general. But then there is national interest. There's professional interest for those people that are supervising the military, either in the executive branch, either within the service itself, to ensure that only those people who are really qualified, that 2% is what we should keep in mind. I have pointed all the percentages between captain, major, lieutenant, colonel. Once you do that, you will not come and find one day you are retiring 100. It's ridiculous. To be honest with you, in my whole research, I cannot find a country where in one fell swoop they retired 100 plus major generals and then the army is still standing. It shows you are doing something wrong. And this is the time, with this new regime coming, this is the time. With due respect, I happen to be, I had the honor of serving in a military reform committee. All these issues were thrashed out, but unfortunately these reforms were not carried out. Everybody, not only me, everybody knows that right now we have too many generals.